Hello and welcome to a Daily Record Sports special. My name is Scott Burns and today I'm joined by my Daily Record sports writer colleague, Anthony Evans. Anthony, how are you?
All right, guys, how we doing?
Good, thank you. And I'm delighted to say that we're joined by another special guest today, a former Aberdeen captain and goalkeeper. We are in conversation with Joe Lewis today. Joe, welcome to the Daily Record, a special sport podcast today. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on. How's life treating you, Joe?
Really good, yeah. Yeah, keeping really busy. Got a couple of things going on. I've got a goalkeeper academy down here, which I'm running in the evenings. So, yeah, really enjoying that. Just sort of focusing on the goalies and giving them the attention that they don't normally get elsewhere. Yeah, really sort of throwing myself into that. And I've got a solar energy company as well, which is keeping me busy in the daytime. So I'm not much spare time to myself at the moment, but no, we're really enjoying it.
How's obviously the coaching? That's the GKHQ, isn't it? Is that right?
Well, yeah, GKHQ. Yeah, we're based out of Macclesfield now. So we do 3 nights a week, all ages. We do under sevens, and then we do all the way up to semi-pros as well. We have lads that are playing in a good level, not quite full time, but we have a couple of semi-pro sessions a week where the lads are normally training on a Tuesday and Thursday night. We have a Wednesday night and a Friday lunchtime session for them as well. So it's right the way through. And then even in the summer just gone, we had some pros in. So doing the off season stuff. So yeah, just covering all bases and really enjoying it.
Any future goalkeepers for Aberdeen? You can throw that away.
I'll try and send some up. Yeah.
You're back to your Scottish home this week, that right? Back up to defend your crown with the Aberdeen Masters.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good fun. It was a great event last year. Helps when you win as well. Makes it a bit sweeter. To score as well, even better. So I'm not sure I'll repeat that this year, but we'll try and retain it. It's a good event. It's a really good event. It's good fun. So really looking forward to that.
Well, we'll come back onto the Masters later, but we can touch base on what's currently on play at Aberdeen this week. I mean, it's obviously an international week, so there's not much in terms of fixtures, but it's the first week for the new sporting director, Lutz Paffenstiel. He's come in, a former goalkeeper, part of your union, Joe. That should be an interesting appointment, just with Aberdeen's first sporting director, and he obviously takes over from previously it was director of football with Stephen Gunn, who stepped down earlier this year, but it's a new direction for Aberdeen.
Yeah. It's I think it's a really good appointment. Well, I don't know if the individual, the actual personnel is a great appointment. Hopefully it is. I don't know much about the guy apart from him being a goalie, so he's bound to be a good guy. But he he's got obviously some good stories to tell. I'm sure, interesting character. Just what you read about what his past. But no, I think football's moving that direction, and Aberdeen have been moving with with the new direction of football now, with a technical director or a sporting director. Stephen Gunn was doing everything really, he was fantastic for the club. I can't speak highly enough of Stephen Gunn and what he did, and professionalism and the that he showed in his dedication to the job. But everything comes to an end eventually, and he's moving on, and someone else is coming in with a very different background, who will definitely bring a different perspective on things. And it's a massively important job, really important job.
Yeah. With Lutz coming in, obviously his last job was in the US, but before that he was of course working in Germany, where almost in that country sometimes the sporting directors are seen as more important than the manager, in a sense where they're doing a lot of the work behind the scenes. So just how important you think it is that Jimmy Clean's got that support, when it comes to recruitment and things like that?
I think it's really important. That relationship is really has to be really finely balanced, because he can't be fully part of Jimmy's team. He is separate to that. But he needs to have a very good working relationship, and they need to be on the same page, because you never want managers not being involved in signings. You want the manager heavily involved, but also they can't have full control, because if you do, and when normally, nearly every time, managers don't last very long in general. If you do have to move a manager on, that can't completely derail what the club is in the direction the club's moving. So it's very important for that technical director or sporting director to their role is to make sure that everything slots in and is interchangeable. And if you do lose a manager, if they're doing exceptionally well or if they're doing poorly, and they move on, then things don't change massively within the club. It doesn't completely rip the heart and soul out of the club. And that's where his job will be vitally important. I think all clubs are trying to do that, but obviously when you've got someone with a playing or a football background, then that might transfer onto the pitch more.
I mean, in terms of, he's got a decent pedigree as certain off the field looks. I mean, he was at, as Anthony said there, he was at St. Louis City in the MLS. He's been in the Bundesliga. He's done a lot of coaching scouting for Hoffenheim, where one of his friends was Roberto Firmino. He's also been involved at Fortuna Düsseldorf, so he's got a decent background and pedigree for coming into the job.
Yeah, and I think the German clubs are known for their structure within their, and I think he was part of the independent review of the football club as well. So he's got a bit of a knowledge of it. And I think the German record of German managers in the past have been fantastic. As have Scottish managers, really. But it's certainly the way that football's going. I think a lot of people look to Germany and German football clubs as a bit of a model of how you do things and how things are run properly. And hopefully can bring a lot of that over with him.
He certainly seems a character, because when I was going out to Larnaca, I downloaded his biography, The Unstoppable Goalkeeper. There's been a few headlines already made from Lutz's time as a player, from the wrongly jailed for match fixing to borrowing a penguin to also almost dying on the field when he was at Bradford Park Avenue as well. So it certainly seems a colourful character, and it looks like it'll bring something to Aberdeen as well as a sort of personality. And
that's what you want. You want characters within your team. Football is in a danger of getting a bit boring, I think, sometimes. Not so much Scottish football, certainly the English Premier League at the moment, it has been going a bit stale, I think. I don't think that's ever going to happen in Scotland, because there's so much drama constantly for various reasons. But I think you want these characters within your football club, and that's where the connection with the supporters comes. You don't want boring, mundane people running your football club. You want colourful characters who are good at their job, obviously, can do their job properly. But you want colourful characters, and he certainly seems like one, and it'll be one that I think certainly around the training ground, around the offices at the club. It just hopefully he'll be someone that can lift someone and breathe a new lease of life into the club. Not that it desperately needs a new lease of life in the club, but just freshens things up, your different perspectives, different backgrounds, and it'll be really interesting to see how he slots into that.
Yeah, you mentioned the word structure there before as well, which of course is quite renowned for what German teams are quite renowned for. So as well, I'm sure you'll agree that over the last few seasons, the turnover of players in the squad has maybe been too heavy in terms of new players coming in every season and then maybe even moving on at the end of that same season. So I guess in the long term, that's something to be looking at as well.
Yeah, I think certainly to a degree, I think we'll always be a club that has a high turnover of players. I do think just the nature of what we are, and I think the more consistent we can be, and we can be getting European football more consistently year after year. Hopefully that will keep the that's more of an attraction to Aberdeen, and not necessarily just for people coming there, but people wanting to stay. When you have managers leaving, we had a lot of turnover of managers over the last few seasons, really, and that's why I'm really pleased to see a bit of a change in form for Aberdeen. Obviously, it was a real tough start, and being a tough season so far. But I have seen a bit of a change, and I was really happy to see that, because the last thing you want is another change of manager at this stage. So consistency. That turnover of players. You don't want to keep having 7 or 8 or 9 lads come in a transfer window, because then there's a ready-made excuse of the lads need to gel, and then you need to give them more time. No, let's add 2 or 3 starters, real strength and depth. In a transfer window, but you don't want to be, a complete revamp every 18 months.
Do you think, Joe, that was behind it's been a difficult start to the season, as you've touched on already, but the Aberdeen, the chairman and the board, they've always 100% been behind Jimmy Thelin. There's been no thoughts, despite of outside noise or pressure being on him, but they've always backed him, sort of thing. As you said, there's probably been a lot of managerial changes in recent years. Do you think the club probably needs this stability just to give it, a bit longer to level out? Because bear in mind that just back in May, they lifted the Scottish Cup.
And that you have to keep that in mind, and that gives Jimmy a lot of credit, a lot of credit in the bank. But people have got short memories, and it has been very frustrating. There's not been a lot to go on, and the league form has been poor. There's no getting away from that. Performances have been very up and down. We've shown glimpses. Players have shown glimpses of what they can do. We just need to see more of it, and that's always going to be the case. We've never really had. You've always had players at Aberdeen with ability. They don't get to Aberdeen without having the ability and the potential. But can they recreate that? And as I mentioned, Jimmy is a stable, solid voice, consistent with his responses, and his nature. And I think sometimes people maybe want to see more reaction or more emotion from him, but that's not him. And you're not going to get that. And I don't think you should want that, because if you see that, for me, if I started seeing him emotional, then that's alarm bells. You don't see a complete change of character. So we do want to see a reaction from people, from players, but Jimmy seems very consistent. I've met him a couple of times. He's a lovely guy and very, very calm to speak to, and that's what you want from a manager, personally. Now, around that, can we build a team that has got the character, the chest out, the arrogance on the pitch, the voice, and you've got the technical director who seems to have, like I say, he seems like a real character. And around that, can we build that? But that's that consistency and that from the manager. I like it. I like how he is, and hopefully we can keep that and that we can build from there. But obviously, results need to improve. Have improved ever so slightly, but need to improve a lot more.
It was another busy window, of course, with players coming in and going, especially some key players that, like you mentioned, that Scottish Cup win with Shayden Morris and Papi Gay both played a huge part in that success. Just why do you think that's not been able to the team haven't been able to kick on from that success with that feel-good factor, of course, that the fans, after a difficult end of the season with the league, that they managed to get with that?
Yeah, take the cup win and the cup run out of it. It hasn't been great. The consistency hasn't been there, and the cup win was unbelievable, fantastic, unbelievable for the club. But beneath that, the performances do need to get better. Have needed to get better. Now we always see it. We seem to raise our performances and against strong opposition. We seem to find that ability somewhere. I think that's where the frustration comes, and then you see that result of the weekend, where we weren't played off the park, but I don't think we were by any means the better team in the game. And And that's Motherwell, with all due respect, our budget and our resources and our training facilities, everything about Aberdeen for me, and I'm biased, blows Motherwell out of the water. Now, that's not disrespectful, I don't think. Maybe I can't take it disrespectfully, but because on the pitch, they were, for me, they were a better team, and that's where it really matters. You have a nice training ground, yeah, great. Have some nice grass, have a nice changing room, nice warm, comfortable changing room to sit in. It means nothing. You need to go out there and show that character, and other teams seem to be doing that more often and more consistently than us. So that's where we go back to the technical director coming in, or sporting director, whatever his name is, his title is. I want to see them characters come in. I want to see that characters on the pitch. Now, we seem to have them on the pitch. I just want to see more of it. And can we develop that team, which isn't just on the pitch, but the full club of real character, real, chest out, bit of arrogance. That we are a big club. We do need to put the demands on each other for consistent performances.
In terms of, you obviously touched on the disappointment of drawing at home with Motherwell. In saying that, probably at the start of the season, when you look, the team had lost twice to Motherwell, sort of thing. So it's positive that picked up a point, but there was a disappointment in terms of the attacking intent in the Motherwell game. I think a lot of the fans felt that Aberdeen were quite defensive, but have you noticed a change in tact from Jimmy this season? Because obviously there was a difficult start where the team were struggling for wins, they were struggling for goals, and they're now, you see, defensively changed to 3 at the back, and they look a lot more solid. But it's probably come at a cost at the top end, and he probably needs more of a balance going forward.
Yeah. You always want that, and you want clean sheets, and you want 5 goals a game. So. For me, the foundation is, I think, losing Shayden Morris, as much as he wasn't necessarily a regular starter. You need that explosiveness. You need them game changers and match winners. And for me, the speed, the pace of Shayden. And the directness of him, when he got the ball, you knew, especially when he's playing well, you knew which way he was going. He was going down the line, or he was going to get at the fullback, and he was trying to get. You want to see that attacking intent, and I think as long as you're carrying that attacking intent, that helps the back four as well. Because if you're carrying that threat going forward, the opposition have got to worry about that a bit more. But if you're not really, if you're a bit toothless, teams are coming in with that confidence. And during the game, they're getting that going forward, and it sort of becomes a bit of a feeling with the whole team. We're not going to score today, or if we do, we get 1, maybe we'll get 2. But it'd be nice to see us go and with the ability we've got, really go and blow someone away. But like I say, that consistency just hasn't been there, and you need to carry that attacking threat to help the defenders. As a goalkeeper and with a back four, if you're scoring goals, that does lighten the load on your shoulders. It does help. It does help because when you're not scoring, you really can't buy a goal. As the things you're going in thinking anything, any little error, any little mistake, we go 1 down. It's a long way back. But if you can get them goals and you're a free scoring team, then that does lighten the burden on the defenders and the goalkeeper.
So on that, another talking point from the game at the weekend as well was he made that sub at half time with Gyamfi coming off, who had a poor first half. Arguably could have been sent off as well. But I think not to make a triple sub until the 90th minute when the game was 1-1. Does that maybe suggest he doesn't trust some of his players on the bench? Because obviously there was Kjartansson who's been signed, hasn't had a single minute. Bilalovic, the wide player as well from Sweden, he's only had a spare amount of minutes as well. So is that a degree of that, or did he really, he obviously trusts some of the players on the pitch more, or was it a case of that was the way he was going tactically?
I would be surprised if it's trust. I would be surprised if he doesn't believe in them players. It was odd, wasn't it? The triple sub at the end of the game did feel very strange, and you want to see, especially. I think just the way the game's going. When you look at it, Motherwell at home, you're looking to win that game. Like I say, I don't want to be, disrespectful to Motherwell. I'm going to make myself an enemy in Motherwell, but Aberdeen will be looking to win that game. At home, Aberdeen should be looking to win every game at home. I'll take the individual team out of it. So I think when you look at it, 1-1, let's go and win the game. But actually, when you look at the game, maybe he's just thinking, right, I don't want to disrupt. I just say disrupted. We weren't playing well, but I'm just trying to get him to guess why he made it. It was hard. I would like to hear, or pick his brain as what he's thinking there. Maybe the time escaped him. I don't know. Or he was thinking about doing it earlier, and one or two things happened during that game that made him delay it. I don't know, but it did seem odd, and them sort of decisions, they do make supporters go, what's he thinking? I think sometimes, little moments like that do chuck the question out there. People start reading into it and guessing, why does he not trust the players coming on? What's he thinking? Is he out of ideas? I don't think it is that. There will be a reason. I hope that an explainable one, but obviously doesn't need to come out and explain every decision he makes. But it would certainly stop the guessing. Does he not trust the players? I don't think it is trust. I would hope it's not, because he's not been there that long, but enough to weed out the ones he doesn't trust at all, which I can't imagine he's got any in the squad at the moment.
So just to finish off on the Motherwell game, I'll throw a few things at you if you don't mind. One, the goal that Aberdeen lost. I mean, that'll be a nightmare for the goalkeeper. He'd have been raging with that. Nothing to do with him, no blame at all. But it was a cheap goal. I mean, any goal a goalkeeper loses, you're obviously annoyed at. But that was a cheap one, and one he couldn't really do much about. Secondly, Thelin Loban making his Pittodrie debut. And the other headline from the weekend was Graham Shinney making his 300th Aberdeen start. So if you want to put your teeth into any of them.
Yeah, I'll go from the start. We'll get the rough ones out of the way first. The goal, so frustrating. You've just scored. And it's not the goalie's fault. It's almost not an individual's fault. That is just team. Let's switch on. And from the goalie, from the centre half, from the captain, from whatever. The ball's like, you've got to be. What else are you doing? What looking for someone to pick up. Someone wasn't picked up. Someone wasn't doing that. As soon as the ball goes out, whoever's going in them. So that front space, you want to get people in that earlier. You want whoever, if there's one on the post. For me, as a goalkeeper, I'm going post, front space first. That's the very first thing you do, that front space, to stop that early low one coming in, or not just the early low one, just the low one getting past the front post and not being cleared. So it was such a cheap goal, so cheap. And it wasn't really like we shouldn't have expected it from them. That's what they will exploit that. If you're stopping, they've got their bright team trying to win some credit back with Motherwell here. they're a bright team, and they will exploit that, and they will sniff out a weakness, and teams will, because when you're playing against a club with better resources, players that are paid more, you have to find a way to beat these teams, and that can't be a goal you concede. That just can't be. Not after you've worked so hard to get where you are in the game, and that needs to be a responsibility of all the senior defenders, goalkeeper, centre halves, right? Not just senior in terms of age, but like a central figure in the defensive unit. Defensive minded players need to be switched onto that, and it was like, not only did we not see it coming in, it was like even as he shot, everyone would just turn and look. It wasn't even like there was a last ditch attempt to get there, because they were miles away. So that was so frustrating, and a real kick in the teeth of a goal to concede, and so avoidable. So yeah, that was really disappointing. Dylan Loban, what great lad, and you could see his abilities there, which is so important. There's no point just a lot of times you see, give the youngsters a go. Well, if they're not good enough, or we haven't brought the ones through that are good enough, don't give them a go. You can't just promote young players because they're young and because people want young players to be in the first team. Yeah, you can, if they're showing something, then get them involved. Dylan seems to be one that is actually not far away from being given some regular starting time. Technically very good. What I loved about him when I was there, he seemed like a real leader. Amongst the young lads, he'd be the lad that came and spoke to the first team players in the change room, asking us stuff. He'd be, he wasn't shy, he wasn't brash, he wasn't cocky or arrogant, but he would come in and he would go, he'd chat to us, ask us for some kitty money for their Christmas party or whatever. But he's that character. He's not afraid to show himself and to show what he's got on the pitch. And I think that's why you've seen him be promoted to the position he is now, and where you'll see him getting more and more time is because he is brave. He is positive, really infectious lad, really nice lad. And yeah, Aberdeen lad, Aberdeen supporter, which makes a big difference. And hopefully the supporters give him loads of time and loads of opportunity, and don't judge him too early. He's gonna hopefully he bursts into the scene, he flies, but there's a good chance he comes in, shows some good stuff, drops out, comes back in. We can't expect him just to come and hit the ground running and just smash it and have an upward trajectory, but he's certainly one that you need to be given minutes to, because he is a good player, really good technical gifted player, and a fantastic character to have in and around the place. And I'm sure that youthfulness will help the squad as well. I'm sure he's now in the first team changing room, and that sort of youthfulness and freshness will really help.
In terms of
Graham Shinney, wasn't it? Graham Shinney?
Yep, 300 start. Yep.
Well, what we say about Graham, he's an absolute warrior. I was probably as pleased for him as I was anyone with the Scottish Cup win, because he deserved that. What he's given to the club in terms of not just the games and the time he's been there, but every training session he is a standout. He's at it. There's not a single day training session when you can ever say he's not bought 100% to that session. He's a leader. It seems like as you get older and as you're that type of player, you have a couple of bad games and people start to write you off. That's just the nature of being a footballer who's into the 30s. I think it just happens. You can't have a bad spell without being told that you're finished, or your legs are gone, or whatever, your arms are gone, like So ultimately, he does receive criticism, and I think as captain of the team, and I've certainly felt that a little bit, that you do get the brunt of some things, some stuff, because after a bad game you get chucked out in front of the press because you have to, because you're the leader, you're a senior player, you're the captain, and you have to, you're not going to send one of the young lads out, you're not going to send an inexperienced lad out. He speaks well, and that's what happens. You're a senior player, you're the captain, you get put in front of, and you have to explain your performances, your team's performances, along with what the manager, similar to the manager. So so it is when the team aren't playing well, it is a burden. It can weigh heavy, but he seems to ride them storms, and hopefully he can be a big part of an Aberdeen team that comes out of a sticky start and really goes and produces something this season.
Graham's out of contract. He's one of the players that's out of contract this summer, but you would suspect that Aberdeen would offer him a new deal in some capacity, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and what he can offer on the pitch as well, not just for being a good guy, for his service, because there's not the budget there to be. We're not a charity, but for what he can provide, on the pitch. Is he going to start every game? No, probably not. But is he going to be someone who can impact games, someone who can be, go and play 60 minutes and be brought off, play 90 minutes and play one game a week. But obviously, the older you get, I'm sure the club will look at trying to keep him, because what he adds, obviously, away from the pitch is very important. But obviously, he still does give us something important on the pitch, and he's a big part of what you can find with that balance. Like I say, with Thelin coming through and the young lads coming through and the new lads, you need to keep that consistency. And Graham will keep that changing room and that consistency on and off the pitch.
After the international break, Joe, then it's obviously moving forward. There's obviously every game's big for Aberdeen just now, but the next one's Hearts at home. Hearts team that are obviously going well under your former manager. That's a big one. And then there's obviously European ones. But that Hearts fixture, it seems to, even back to your time, it always seemed to go with the home team. Do you put your finger on why that was?
I mean, no. I know Tynecastle playing at Hearts, good atmosphere, loud, close to the pitch. A great one of my favourite places to play football. Actually, Hearts away was always a fixture I used to look forward to. Didn't get much joy there really, but I did enjoy playing there. Pitch is always immaculate, atmosphere is always good. And so, similar. They must have a thing about coming to Aberdeen. I think hopefully it sticks to the way it's been going. Like I say, they are a very good team. They've got some really good players, and they've made some really good acquisitions this season. And Derek's a shrewd manager, and he'll want to win this game as much as he does, probably more than he does any other, because he is that competitive guy and manager, and he's done a fantastic job with them. Can they keep it going? I don't think they will. No, I don't think they'll take that through the whole season. But I'm sure they'll look to keep it going, and like I say, they'll be desperate to win the game, because they will still see Aberdeen as a scalp, as a potential competitor. We look at us last season; we started in a similar fashion and fell away. They'll know that. They'll probably have that in one mind, that they need to keep that going. And they have shown real strength and quality, but we've seen how quickly that can change. And it was if we can get a win and beat them on the weekend, then that will show, hopefully be a catalyst for us to go and kick on and then to go the other way.
Yeah, with the nature of the league table, it does feel like, despite the underwhelming start to the season, that a win in that game, like you say, it could be a catalyst, because you're only a couple of wins away from that top six and further beyond that. So it really is a big game, especially for Hearts as well. Like you said, with McInnes looking to end that long record, wait for a Jambos win at Pittodrie.
Yeah, it is. I think that helps with the feeling around the place and hopefully the energy around the club and within the team, is that there's still so much to play for. And the start of the season is so stop-start, and it always has been with the international breaks. You have 3 international breaks in a short space of time before you've even really got going. And it feels like you can't get that consistency. You don't play game on game on game. Now, obviously, from the weekend going forward, from that.
It's non-stop.
Yeah, you just don't. Yeah, I don't know how many. I'm sure we played 9 games in December one year, and it is non-stop, and there's no winter break. I don't think is there this year.
No,
there's no winter break again. So it will be game after game after game, and it will need the squad. And Aberdeen have got a good squad, and that will need them. It will need every one of the lads to step up. But there's these next 2 months now is really gonna separate the teams. I think that's where hopefully we can now come good and get a real good positive run of results, and like I say, 3 or 4 games down the line, it can completely change the outlook on the season, and you can really be pushing on at that top end.
Joe, just can we move back onto more personal matters and your own time at Aberdeen? You had obviously 7 years at Aberdeen, 271 appearances, if I'm correct. I might be wrong, but when I looked up the actual stats, tell me, how did you move to Aberdeen come about? You were at Cardiff, is that right? I had been on loan at Fulham. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I was out of contract or coming out of contract, and to be honest, Hearts was an option.
Hearts was an option, was it?
Had spoken to my agent, and I think at the time they were trying to get Matt Gilks, if I remember rightly.
Hearts were.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Aberdeen had spoken. It was Russ Richardson had spoken to my agent, and it was very early on. I was out of contract, and it was very early on in the window. But obviously, Aberdeen, I think our first game that year was like the 30th of June. It was so early. So I think Aberdeen were really keen to get it done, get it signed, and over the line. And I looked and I thought, do I try and stay in England and stick to what I know? And it was obviously Aberdeen's a long way from where I am now. So it was a big decision, but I thought a conversation with Derek. It's very hard to say no to Derek. He doesn't really let you get too many words in, and he convinces you. He is very convincing, and that's how it came about. They were the first team to offer me a contract, and I looked at it, I thought, what a fantastic opportunity. Spoke to my dad about it, and he's a big football fan, and he knew the history of Aberdeen and saw what a big club it was, and very much encouraged me to go for it. And it was something that I thought, let's go and let's do it. It was it was a big step, moving my family up there, my wife and my son at the time. And then it was I sort of said to the missus, we'll be there. We'll go up for a year, see how it is, and we'll come back. And then 7 years later, we're there with another kid, and still there. Yeah. So.
How do you look, Joe? How do you look back in your 7 years at Aberdeen, your time at Aberdeen?
Loved it, absolutely loved it. Obviously there was difficult moments for the team and personally, and for me, I do look at it really fondly, and to captain the club was massively. I've got a huge pride in that still now. That's one of the highlights of my career is being captain of Aberdeen Football Club. So I look at it really positively, and I had a really good bond with the supporters from really early on. So I don't. There was difficult moments, but they're sort of very distant memories, really, and the positive stuff really shines through. And there's we didn't win a trophy while I was there, and that's probably the one thing that I really wish had have happened. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I absolutely love the football club. Had a fantastic relationship with the supporters and everyone within the club, and it was really, I really felt like the football club, and I still feel like it still does everything right. To you, other clubs you're at, you never really feel like everyone's really pulling in the same direction. Aberdeen Football Club, you did then, and I think you still do. You feel like everyone's working for the same common goal, and there isn't too many. Isn't anyone I could think that would, is really just driven for themselves and looking to try and promote themselves over everyone else, or has got any other agenda. And sometimes at other clubs, you felt like there was a bit of a gap and a bit of a distance from maybe the board or the owner or the football club and the players. And I think with Aberdeen, I always felt like we were all one. and that's a big part of why I wanted to stay at the football club and why I felt like a big part of it.
Good.
Did you ever have any opportunities? Because obviously that first season was a big success, like you said, for yourself and the team, getting to 2 finals, of course, losing it in heartbreaking fashion. But I guess that form you showed in that first season, especially, must have attracted interest elsewhere, surely.
Yeah, well, I signed my first contract was 2 year. It's a 2 year contract. So I had a year left after that first year, and there was interest. There was interest from Celtic and Rangers. I spoke to, inquired about what I was doing and spoke to my agent. But after that first year, I think I then signed a 3 year contract at the club. I was never desperate. There was probably never really explored the opportunity and spoke any further down the line because I was happy. I was enjoying my football, and I hadn't been in the previous years. Probably the previous 4 years, 3 years probably. I hadn't played. I played 30 games at Blackpool, 30 odd games, but I never really felt like I was part of that football club. I felt like I was part of the team. I never felt like I was part of the football club, and I think everything that surrounded Aberdeen, I was happy there. The team was doing well, and we felt like we were progressing, and we were building something, and I wanted to be part of that. So there was talk and inquiries from other clubs, and maybe I could look to go back down to England at the time, but I just didn't really have that drive to move on away from Aberdeen at the time.
Obviously, when you announced your retirement, you did an interview with ourselves, and you mentioned the interest from Rangers and Steven Gerrard, but obviously that went down well with the Aberdeen fans when that story came out, sort of thing. So that just adds to your standing with the Aberdeen fans, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was really pleased with the way I played, especially the first couple of seasons. I think I felt like they were probably the 2 outstanding seasons of my career when I look back on it. And I think when you get somewhere, and you see it a lot now, you see good players go somewhere and just not start well, and it almost feels like even after the first few months that player needs to move on, that player needs to go and start somewhere else because they are clearly a good player and it's not working, and you just feel like a good start at a club can really it really helps you for the following year or two, and if you can start well somewhere, which I did at Aberdeen. I mean, so I started well. I had the ball bobble over my foot and into the goal after about 2 games, but even that, I never felt any negativity from the supporters or the team or the manager or anyone at the club, and it was still really positive about myself, and I was really sort of I just think a good start at a club makes you want to stay there, and it was the club. I think we were moving to Cormac Park. Well, that was that was getting built, and we were looking to move over there. So it was lots of things where the club was going in the right direction. Like I say, you felt like everyone was pulling the right way, and there was no reason to leave the football club, and the club gave me a good contract, and I was happy.
We put out a few questions last night on social media to some of the Aberdeen fans, so if I can put them to you. I'm not sure. I don't think this is the person's real name, but I'll give you his Twitter handle. But Sam Cosgrove, Ballon d'Or. He asks, was the 0-0 game versus Hearts at Murrayfield your best ever game?
I would say, yeah. I don't think I've had any that would beat that. It was a game I still probably do refer to that as my best performance of my career. I just felt like was nothing. I was never going to get beaten. Didn't feel at any stage that any shot or anything. That was I think a moment when I was playing well. I felt confident. Everyone was just flowing, and when you're confident and you're not, you're almost running on autopilot. You're not thinking about your game. You're not thinking about your starting positions or where you dive. You're not thinking about anything. You're just running autopilot, and everything was going for me. And that game sort of it all came together. I think it helps when it's a really tight game, and it was 0-0 game in the end. So I don't want to make it about an individual, but I felt like I won us the point there because the team didn't play that well. And yeah, I did feel like that was probably my best game in my career. Yeah.
It must have been quite a unique experience as well, obviously, with a big Aberdeen support in there in a rugby stadium, which it must have been a bit odd as well.
I feel like we had about 7,000 fans there behind that goal. And obviously it was quite a long way behind, but you could still see the turnout, and a real unique game for me, obviously, because of the performance. And just the occasion to play at Murrayfield. Not many people have played football at Murrayfield. So yeah, it was everything about it was great. I really enjoyed it. It is a real good memory for a number of reasons. My own performance, the huge away support we had, unique stadium. Everything about that is a great memory of mine.
Lee Seymour asks, have you chucked your League Cup and Scottish Cup runners-up medals away like Johnny Hayes, or have you kept them?
Johnny's got winners ones from Celtic, so I've got 18. They're in the garage somewhere. I've got a box with. I don't keep loads of stuff. I'll keep a shirt for each team I played for. Any medals or trophies. I've got my Player of the Season trophy, which I think I should have given back, but I never did. A few bits and pieces. Yeah, I've not chucked. I don't chuck things away, but I would never really was someone who went and got and kept things. I don't have them up on the walls or anything like that. I just have them in the garage. It's a nice thing to have in a dry place to maybe show. The kids don't care, but maybe the grandkids might. So it's I haven't thrown them away. No.
Maverick was asking, and we'll just change tact here. Do you think you'll be in the score sheet again this on Friday night in the Masters? You're obviously referring to your goal against Rangers last year.
Yeah, do you know what? From a goalkeeper's point of view, you sort of do have to play quite high off the line and sort of almost be a bit of a defender and stop that ball coming over the top or defend one side. And with it being limited numbers, and the older guys not wanting to necessarily do as much running, you probably do have to play a bit of a higher line. So a higher chance than usual of a goalie scoring, but I'll maybe keep it. I don't want to play it too loud because I don't want any of the goalies play too deep and nullify that threat.
Was that goal? Was it just pure instinct? Because I was obviously there, but was that something you were thinking of the whole game? If there's a chance here, I'm going to try it, or was it just you looked up, you saw the gap, and you went for it?
No, it wasn't something I thought of in the game or games leading up to it. It was just something I just thought. I can't remember whether it was on short. I think in them games also in any small side game as a goalie, I think you always look long and you'll see short. And then I looked long, and Ian Jess was there getting marked one side by someone, and Roy Cowley come right up behind him. I just thought there was not really much else obvious. So my initial thought was play it a bit longer, and then as soon as it left my hand, I thought just put a bit more on this because he's out of his goal. Like it was like a very last split-second decision to shoot, and it was a pure strike. You look stupid if that doesn't come off. And the lads in the team turn around and shout at you because they want to keep the ball because they don't want to run after it. So it was not saying I'm consciously going to try it again, but if the opportunity arises, then why not?
What do you make of your chances this on Friday evening then of retaining your title, your Masters title at the P&G Live?
Yeah, a couple of changes to the team. A bit of a younger team. So I think I'm normally the youngest team. Do you know what? I actually thought Dundee United last time were really hard done by. They were probably, in my opinion, the best team there, but they got shafted by the referee for a couple of goals. I think a couple of decisions. There was one that went over the line that didn't give. So they for me, they're probably the team to beat. Although we are the reigning champions and we're confident going into it, but they're certainly a team that I look at. I can't remember their team. If Danny Swanson probably was. For me,
he was a standout, wasn't he, in that whole tournament, basically.
Yeah, he was very good. I think they've found a loophole somewhere because a couple of them lads are still playing somewhere, in the lower league. So So I've got my letter of complaint ready for if we do lose to them. But yeah, we've it's a great occasion. It's a really good. I will shout out if you're not got your tickets or you're thinking of going, go, because it's really good. The atmosphere for an indoor six-a-side tournament is brilliant, and you get the opportunity to be close to some of the players that you remember from years gone by, and there's some good names there, and it's a really good event. So yeah, it's a Friday night. Get yourself down there if you can, because it is. I loved it, and it's good to catch up with a few familiar faces as well.
Andy Constantine and Adam Rooney joining from. I don't think they didn't play last year, did they? So another chance to play with them, roll back the years.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Like I say, some younger legs. Jesse's not making an appearance this year. Who else isn't there? Gav Ray. He's not playing. So yeah, got a few fresher younger legs. So yeah, that helps the team, and it'd be nice to catch up with them. Yeah, a few lads that will no doubt have a beer after the game, and yeah, good a chat about how we're getting on. Yeah, nice to catch up with people.
Open top bus parade planned if you win it for a second time. If you win it, Dave Cormack.
I was a bit disappointed there wasn't one last time. Yeah, I used to message Dave for a win bonus if we won. I wonder if he'll dig into to give a lads a win bonus if we can win it again, retain it. But maybe you can save that for the first team for all the wins coming up.
Did he respond to your win bonus, please?
No, I was Gunnar. I messaged. I said Gunnar messaged me afterwards and said, "Well done and good to see you." I said, "Oh, double bonus from Dave." Yeah.
Good. No, Joe, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us. All the best for a Friday night with the team. I hope all goes well and you have a safe trip up and you go back with a trophy again and another medal for the collection for the garage.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Thanks for joining us and giving us an insight into your time at Aberdeen and the current ongoings at Pittodrie. That's much appreciated.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thank you very much for that. That brings an end to this Daily Record special. But if you want to keep up to date with all the latest news from Aberdeen and Scottish football, you can do that at the Daily Record website and across all our social media channels. Until next time, thank you and all the best. Thanks for watching.